I keep salt in places other humans would not. I pass items at our family table clockwise for good energy. I clean my house with wild herbal potions I make for spiritual purposes. I hang plants to dry and to protect my home, and I believe my house needs me to participate, to protect it, cleanse it, and move energy with, for we are united. Kitchen witchcraft is such an accessible kind of witchcraft to practice, and it's a practice that can happen in secret as this witchcraft is woven into the everyday. Hello everybody, it's Heather Lynn. Welcome Wild Ones to the Wild Witchery. I'm the Wild Woodland Witch, and today we're exploring kitchen witchcraft. We're gonna make some wild inspired recipes, and I hope you'll get a chance to try them. We're also going to, of course, make some herb craft, which basically means we're gonna be making an oil. Could you have guessed? How does a kitchen witch infuse magic? Let me show you. How does wild witchcraft settle in and overlap? Let's begin. I want to take you with me into my practice as I share some history of kitchen witchcraft and the magic behind the materials, the tools of this trade, if you will. If this kind of content excites you, click the bell, subscribe, and join our wild community. My Patreon is also coming soon. If there is one thing that we all have in our lives as witches, it is the desire to nourish ourselves and our families through the workings we do in our kitchens. The home is a spiritual haven for the kitchen witch. Long ago, the hearth was a sacred place full of magic. Ancient people knew the spirits well that tended the hearth alongside them. Have you heard the tale of the elves and the shoemaker? The beliefs we once shared openly about the entities or sprites in the hearth are found easily in folk stories. The evolution from paganistic beliefs to then folk magic beliefs through the spread of Christianity gave rise to not only spirits and sprites, but deities, saints, and angels that helped a practitioner tend to the hearth throughout a large chunk of history. Kitchen witchcraft is a mixture of many beliefs that you can pull from to shape your own practice. Bridget, once an Irish goddess, survived and became an Irish saint. Bridget was worshipped as the flame itself and is still seen as the protector of the hearth and home. Frigga, a Norse goddess, wife to Odin, is keeper of the hearth as well. In addition, she can be called upon to help in marriage, fertility, and all home matters. The herbs once used in, say, for example, this mead, have meaning beyond the making. The simmering of this tea has protective qualities for the home as it boils in. Once used in, say, for example, this mead, have meaning beyond the making. The simmering of this tea has protective qualities for the home, and it boils in. Lilac is a joyful plant that can offer harmony with children by bringing in the energy of childlike wonder to the adults around them. This unites parents and children. Harmony can be gained by drinking this mead. I call lilac the fairy flower. So you see, the maker has a chance to infuse intentions into the food he or she prepares. Every item in a practitioner's kitchen is a vessel for infusing, and it is the will that does a majority of this work. But the tools of the trade traditionally have always been important to the kitchen witch. What we hang in our home matters and can keep the kitchen free of negative energy. I recommend the book The Way of the Hedge Witch by Erin Murphy Hiscock. She also wrote the book The Green Witch. Her writing is so simple, it makes it so accessible, the entire practice, and I have found in this particular book that I can just pluck out bits of folk knowledge that I want to apply instantly to my home. But it's not just what we hang in our home. How we clean and cook matters too. Tools are part of this work. We can hang pots to ward off evil, attract, or protect. For example, copper can be used in fertility magic, bring peace to friendships, while iron can deflect magic and psychic energy, and earthenware can bring abundance, while glass offers stability. The spoon is seen as a wand, moving in tension. Spin it clockwise to attract and counterclockwise to banish. The spoon, made of wood, can carry the spirit of the tree it is made from, and the more it is used in this sacred art of kitchen work, the more powerful the witch becomes. What about modern tools? While many of us are drawn to the old ways, including antiques, I caution the use of older made metals in food preparation. While they may have the energy of a loved one, they can be made with unhealthy materials, so always research what something is made of before you deem it safe. Modern tools have just as much magic if the practitioner does the work to not only bless it, respect it, and find its way to infuse their own energy into the process. Sometimes during parts of my practice, I'll put on music. I want to recommend 2 playlists for you. I don't know if you are a fan yet of Alwyn Oak's channel, but she is a YouTuber here, and she dropped her album a few months ago, and it is by far one of my favorite things to work magic in and just listen. I listen to it sometimes in the shower. I don't know if you saw my video on redoing my bathroom and making it super magical woodland, but the music goes so perfectly in there, so I do recommend it, and I'll drop it below. I also love Olivia Graves, the Witch of Wonderlust, here on YouTube and Instagram. I love her taste in music. It's like very funky and spunky and like just gets you going. So I will leave her Spotify below for you as well. I hope to come up with my own wild inspired playlist for you, but until such time, these 2 will do just fine and be a great addition to your music collection. The main ingredient that we're using for this spell is lilac. And here's some dried lilac that I'm making into a vanilla and lilac jojoba oil, which I'm sure I'll be filming and sharing with you. I'm also using lilac honey that I recently made, and you can kind of see how easy it is for me to move the materials around inside. That means it's coming to a closure. It means the lilac has released all the watery content in there. So this is the perfect ingredient to add to our almond flour pancake. We're also going to be using this lilac infusion that I infused with the appropriate moon phase, which was a half moon. And the reason I did that was because I am healing from an ulcer. I wanted some strength, but I didn't want it to be like super intense and manic and very full moon. I didn't want it to be new moon because I wanted to represent what has already happened, because I am in the process of healing. I tend to use bowls that will sing and make noise, because when I'm doing kitchen witchery, it's all about infusing my will into the food. So I use things like sounds into the magic is the fact that my will has combined with these ingredients. Also egg, life force, just wanted to add that in. So I'm gonna begin, but I just wanted to say real quickly as I'm going that lilac is carefree. Lilac is fae energy to me, and fae energy is like, doesn't have a care in the world. Everything will work out. Everything will flourish and be nourished. And I like to light a candle because it brings fire into things, and fire is like a very fast moving, it adds an element of urgency. Not too much urgency though, as you can tell, because I'm mixing it with a half moon. And so every time I'm combining energies, I mean, I feel like that's what my job is when I'm a witch. If I were to do this spell just with fire, I actually don't think it would be helpful for me. Sort of each, it needs to go step by step. It doesn't need to be forced into this healing. There needs to be a process, and there needs to be a reverence for that process. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch, because I know videos are not usually done like this. My videos are usually this very, like, kind of pulls you through very easily. Whereas when you're watching someone just speak, it's kind of like a live feed. If you've never done kitchen witchery before, I really think that you'll see it come to life so easily. I mean, it's about choosing intentional ingredients, knowing what your intention is, and then putting that into the food. I have a very strong will. If you don't have a very strong will and you're unsure of yourself, these elements can really help anchor your will, but it's all about getting your will inside. So some people really need a lot of ingredients and a lot of forethought before they do things, and some of us don't need that. Especially as you practice, you get more and more confident. These little elements and using plants, using food, using fire, using watery infused flour, all of this is just, it makes it magic. It's just, I don't want to give the message that you need nothing. I think that your will can create some beautiful, powerful things on its own. Why wouldn't you want to harness that power? So that is what I have to say about that. It's a hard thing to describe because I'm such a free thinking witch, and I don't want anyone to ever get the impression that I'm saying you have to do it this way or else. So we are going to make 6 pancakes. So we need 3. Now what I'm doing is I'm thinking about this almond, and I'm thinking about the energies of almond. There's also arrowroot powder in here. There's coconut in here, cream of tartar, and baking soda and sea salt. So I'm thinking about all those combined forces, and I'm already thinking about how it aligns with my will. This is a healing ritual for me. I'm gonna go into it and stop explaining now and just do the work, and you can just watch. I'm calling in the waters that stir in soup pots. I'm calling in the air that flows through my kitchen as I open the windows and let in the goodness of the earth. I call in the earth in a different way. I use my herbs. Digest easily, quickly through the body, and exit, leaving all nutrients behind. And when I call in the fires, I'm calling in the fire underneath my cauldron, underneath my pots, and I'm bringing together all of these life forces into my workings. Combined forces. Have a little bit of leftover, a little bit of that in there. I want a lot of good lilac energy. This is not something that I would eat every day. Also, honey is not really supposed to be in my diet. I've taken 95% out of my diet. I've quit all caffeine. I've taken myself off all grains. I am doing and making some major changes in my digestive system right now from all those big things that I'm doing. Healing to my heart, because this is not food I can eat on a regular basis. So having a little bit of this once a week is okay, and it helps me feel a little bit more normal. That is what life's about with healing. It's about balance, and it's about doing your research and finding the ingredients, the physical ingredients that really are necessary. The emotional ingredients for me are like having a lot of flowers around me, having a lot of beautiful things around me that make me feel good, and having a lot of rest. The will in this pancake is not enough to heal me. I need to do things that are therapeutic at the same time. So it's physical and emotional. And this is emotional. And all the things I'm doing during the week are physical, and taking medicine and just all of the things are a full picture. So I just don't want anyone to get the intention that magic alone can heal and help you. It's just one of the pieces that can aid you. And when you focus your energy on something, you make better choices for yourself. You align with what needs to happen for yourself. Getting your mind right. Witchcraft helps you get your mind right. And that's the magic of witchcraft. Really taking that will, combining that with all of the knowledge you have, and making all these good choices that you're making. That's where healing really comes from. And it's a process. Like I said, with bringing in that half moon energy, it's allowing that space to say, okay, this is going to take some time. It's okay if it takes some time. To me, that's what kitchen witchery is. It's an opportunity to add more magic into everyday life. And that's what our ancestors did. That's what folk magic is to me, because, they didn't have time back then to make all this time for rituals. Everything had to be infused into what they needed to do. So you need to make pancakes for your family in the morning. Get ready to do some magic with that. So that's just a little piece of why kitchen witchery is so powerful, and how it can be so easily added into your life. Cooking is a creative art. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end, just like a spell. You can call the elements in, Use your tools in creative ways. Put your energy and intentions into your cooking. Whisper magic incantations. Cooking meditations are welcome, and mantras, they all have a place in the kitchen witchcraft world. I'm a secular witch, but I sometimes work with goddesses. This is new to my practice. I have dabbled a bit here and there through the years, but it's been very successful for me as of late, specifically in the kitchen. It is a joy not to feel alone in my workings. I often feel the forest spirits and land spirits with me in my workings, but in the kitchen, I can feel the house spirits with me too. I clean for these energies so they may move freely through my home, blessing our space and protecting my family. But to answer that question, how do we infuse? As a wild witch, wild ingredients connect me because I spend a good portion of my time focusing on wild witchcraft. To make your own wild apothecary, consider watching my video on forest witchcraft, which I will link above. It is easy to learn the correspondences for the wild ingredients you see me working with. It takes one drawing session, one bit of research to find correspondences, one label, one sigil. How do we find wild correspondences? This may be an extra step. You can search Google, check in with other wild witches, or use books that are available. In my next video, I will talk a great deal about wild magic, wildflower correspondences, but we have yet to have one book for all wild plants. This is bioregional witchcraft, so you may not find books specific to your region. My Patreon will be very focused on wild correspondences and recipes for wild magic crafts and kitchen witchcraft with wild plants. And if this is your thing, I think it may be a great resource for you. My Instagram stories also have a bit of this going on, so you are most welcome to join me there as well. This channel also will be a great ally for you, so do consider clicking the bell.
I love flowers.
And becoming a wild one. Wild mushrooms have a strong earthy smell, and they're connected to a living network underground in the forest. If you need to form healthy connections and choose an ingredient to use in a spell, you will be most successful to choose mushrooms in your workings. I wanted to take you with me in real time and share some kitchen witchcraft. Let's listen in. So for today, I'm working with some lion's mane mushroom, as well as some chestnut mushroom. And I'm also working with red pepper. I have 3 buttons here. I chose the number 3 specifically for this spell. These are my grandmother's buttons. This kitchen witch spell is all about dedication to a partner and to true love. My grandmother and my grandfather were together for 50 plus years before she died, and she was such a dedicated woman. A lot of times I use memory magic in my spell work, and even though I'm not going to eat this and I'm not going to put this into my food, I have it here present for the spell. And I'm also using a brown candle, and I know that seems brown to me is a very grounding, very centered, earthy color. I mean, it is the earth. The earth is dedicated to going through the motion over and over and over again, and just continuing to go through the seasons. And to me, that's what a relationship is all about. It's about ebbing and flowing together. I'll also use these for sound. I like to always have these protective rings on. You'll see them a lot in my videos, and I wear different ones for different purposes, and they're all very personal, but I will say that having something that you put on before you do a magical working kind of adds this quality of, you know, if you're just doing a mundane spell with just vegetables, this kind of adds a little quality, and also a spoon can add that as well. I'm not using onions and garlic, and that is one for my health, but also I am not choosing onions because they are, you know, the layering effect, getting to know somebody. Like at this point in my relationship, I don't need like the unraveling, I don't need an onion for this reason. And garlic, I chose just for my own health. I would usually put garlic in, of course, because it's very protective, but I'm actually going to be using cinnamon for that, and I'm also going to be using nutmeg, which enriches and spices a relationship up, and I'm using a fairy ring circle of protection for this particular spell. So these two particular, lion's mane is really special, and it's just so vibrant yellow, which is the color of joy and happiness and flow and continuation. And then the chestnut is just, again, that brown grounding, really like centering. Communication is also comes to mind with this guy. I'm also going to be using celery because it has a very cooling nature. So I'm also using rosemary because it is a very calming force. And I am choosing my glorious pan that I use often. This is, to me, a cauldron, my cauldron pan. I only really cook in this when I'm doing spell work. With this intention, the power of 3, the power of cycles, the mother maiden, the crone. I call to this working to begin. And with the buttons of my ancestors and their commitment and loyalty to each other, may that be infused into my partner and me, and may oneness come to us in peace. A low note. I've also kept the vegetables raw intentionally, not only for my health, but also for this spell. I want them to not be cooked into oblivion. I want these energies present and alive for this. And then as I'm eating this, I'm also going to be calling upon those energies, bringing them into myself for the next phase, the next bit of work that my partner and I will be doing. But I'm also, it's not just that, it's visions, dreams. All of this kind of work gives me intuition for what I should be doing and how I should be doing things, and if I should be doing things. I don't know if you can hear the buttons as I'm hitting that. That energy, that union is going in. That's the end of this spell. Thanks for coming for this little bout of this is what I really wanted to show everybody. Just the truth of, like, it's one thing to watch someone cook something, it's another to really see the magic go in. And there's so many ways to do this. This is just one example of how I do it. If you have any things that you do during this type of spell, let us know in the comments, because it really helps to just learn from each other. And that's what our community really is for. This is the wild community. I love that I use wild crafted mushrooms in this as well. Blessings to your magic witches, and blessings to the spirits of your homes. The positive energy we can all nourish and use in our magic that runs through our kitchen. I love you all for being here with me. Spoon tap, witch on. Stay wild and come find me again.